Let's listen to Pavarotti.
Then on top of that, you've got Bryan Kohberger's behavior when he was at his parents' house in Pennsylvania. This is a detail that almost nobody talks about. Bryan Kohberger, who was a PhD student in criminology, would know that once you throw something away, you no longer have a reasonable expectation of privacy on that. So what do you do if you're worried that the police might get your DNA, or you're worried, and something only the killer would know, that the DNA was left at the scene, or might have been left at the scene on that sheath, because he knows he didn't have it. He was throwing his trash away in his neighbor's trash can. You know, I had a next door neighbor who had a 16-year-old daughter who used to have parties every time the parents were home. She would throw away all the booze bottles in my trash can, and I think we all probably did that as teenagers. That's called consciousness of guilt.
Oh my God.
And there's one reason to do that.
Wow, Matt, you are a deep thinker, man. I mean, you must really, really do your research when you're purchasing hair care products. Man, I bet you take those bottles and you look at every ingredient and see which works the best before you purchase those things and take them home and apply them to that hair of yours. It shows, man. Good job. However, when it comes to this particular case, I don't know if you're thinking that deeply and putting that much time and effort into it. Because based on what you just said, Bryan Kohberger was separating his trash from his parents' trash and then placing it in the neighbor's trash can. I heard you say that, right? I know I've heard a lot of people say that. But let me ask you this. If that's the case, how would we know that? Well, it must be from the investigators that were monitoring the Kohberger house prior to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger, right? And we know that they didn't get the final arrest warrant until they actually took that trash from his father's house and took it all the way back to the Idaho State Crime Lab and then created a profile on Kohberger's father and matched it to the one from the knife sheath and said this concludes it could be no other person than the father of the assailant in the atrocity. That's what I heard you say, correct? Then riddle me this one, Matt. If the investigators watched Bryan Kohberger separate his trash from his parents' trash, and they watched him put that trash in the neighbor's trash can, and based on what you said, once you do that, including the neighbors, once they put their trash out there, it's now public domain. Why wouldn't those very intelligent investigators go to the neighbor's trash and retrieve what they seen Kohberger put in that, because they knew that was Kohberger's trash, according to what you're saying, and take that back to the Idaho State Crime Lab and create a DNA profile and then match that to the knife sheath? That would be matching the assailant, wouldn't it? Instead, they chose to ignore that trash can, take the one that didn't have his DNA, bring it back to Idaho, and create a profile on his father. You know what? There's something not right in Denmark right there, isn't there? Why don't you riddle that one for me, Matt?
Look, I've got, California prison is filled with people righteously convicted for murders that they actually committed, with less evidence than exists in this case. So, this is a powerful case, and people can, disagree if they want. But I did these exclusively for 17 years as an Orange County DA and 26 years of prosecuting cases. And trust me, this is going to be very powerful when a jury hears this evidence.
Wow, based off that, Matt, I think that the entire state of California owes you a debt of gratitude. No, wait a minute. No, I don't think that at all. I think there is probably a significant amount of people in the California penal system that you absolutely railroaded, and they didn't even do it, likely, if you put people away with less evidence than they have on Kohberger for how many years? Oh my goodness, man. And how many of you are there throughout this country? How many poor innocent people are sitting in jail to this day because of yahoos like Matt, who puts more time and effort into picking out hair care products than he would in keeping an open mind in a murder case? Riddle that one for me.